Hey guys, thanks for joining me again today. So today we're going to dive into a little bit about my beekeeping equipment that I'm going to get for the upcoming season. So we got to prep it up, get it ready to go and put outside, which is a little bit difficult to imagine because we've got a ton of snow out there. We've got about almost 2.5, almost 3 feet of snow out there last I checked. So still snowing, which is kind of difficult to imagine that in a little over 2 weeks we're gonna have bees here. So I'm gonna have to figure that out, but that's beekeeping in New England. So let me get into the equipment. All right, so this is something I'm very excited about. I have some brand new beehives to work with. So for those who are unfamiliar with the different equipment styles, this is a 10 framer, which is obvious because there's 10 frames in each box here. I'm used to working with 8 framers. They're lighter and they've suited our needs pretty well, but I'm trying to expand this year and I'm going to experiment with the 10 frames this year. So that's why I'm making that change. These are absolutely beautifully done. So to get these hives done, I worked with the Cambridge Ridge Latin technical program, the carpentry department, and they were able to work with me on getting these hives assembled. So big shout out to their whole team right there, because these guys, these students really did an amazing job putting these together. The shop teachers there do an absolutely amazing job, showing the students how to get this stuff done. So these came out absolutely awesome. I'm really excited to use these this year, and I'm going to get into exactly how I'm going to prep them in just a second. But I mean, just check these things out. The students did this completely from scratch. This was all just, lumber. So they were able to cut it, shape it, and install all of this stuff for me. And I am so happy with the results. These are going to be some amazing sturdy homes for years to come. The 8 framers I have are over 10 years old. If maintained properly, they really can withstand the test of time. So very excited to set these up. So let me get into the rest of it here. All right, so we got the different parts of the hive. I'll do a separate video on another day of all the different parts of the hive, but we'll just go over the basics here. This right here that I've got on the table first is a honey super. Generally, that's where you harvest the honey from. This one is a little bit shorter in height than what is called the brood boxes, which are down there on the bottom, right? They're a little bit taller, also 10 frames wide, but they're quite a bit heavier, but they give the bees more room to live in and move around. All right, and this is what's called the top cover right here. This is basically going to go wherever the top of the hive is on yours. You set it down there, and then you put the lid over the top. This just basically gives the bees a ceiling, and they say, okay, that's where we're going to stop building the hive. And then we've also got our bottom board, right? I'm going with a non-screened-in bottom board. A lot of people will use wire mesh or something like that, just to let something called varroa mites fall out the bottom. It also helps with airflow in the heat of the season, so if I decide to switch that up a little bit later in the season, I can, but for right now I'm going with the classic style. And you have a little entrance reducer right here, which can be taken up and flipped over if need be. All right, and we've also got the hive cover right here, which is going to go right at the top here. You'll line all those pieces up and set it on there. This is a waterproof membrane that's right on the top. A lot of people use metal. Doesn't really matter as long as it is weatherproof, because this will be sitting out in the elements pretty much the whole year. So you got to make sure it's nice and watertight, which brings me to my next topic here. All right, so now it's time to address how I want to finish these. I didn't ask the carpentry department at CRLS to finish this in any way for me, and I did that intentionally because I wasn't quite sure myself the sort of finish that I wanted to do. So what I've ultimately decided after going back and forth is I'm going to try something called tung oil, which is a waterproofing oil, which requires a certain process to buff in, apply several layers. But my thought with doing this is it's a fairly natural chemical. It's not going to be super harmful to the bees. Lots of other beekeepers will use this. It creates a very, very waterproof exterior, which is basically the main goal. If nothing else, it has to do that. And the other thing, the carpentry students put so much work into these beautiful hives. I really, really want to be able to see the detail in the work. The box joints, all the nice sanding and everything that they did for this. I think it's a more respectful way to showcase all the hard work they did. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to show you guys a little quick time lapse of me proofing it and what the end result will look like. This will take a couple days, but I'm excited to show you the process.